apologize, but I'm not sorry for ranting. Anyway, the person in the car is suspicious because Jez walks up and gets all scared, and Finn is pretty sure it's Maleficent, which it is. Smash cut to the park where Finn reveals that it's totally obvious to him now that Walt's plans to put things in perspective means that they need 3D glasses to see the clues. Yeah, I'm still drawing that parallel. It's hard not to. I'm not accusing Pearson of borrowing, though, even though National Treasure was released in 2004 and Kingdom Keepers was published in 2005. Mostly because that's really the most direct similarity in the whole book, other than the whole treasure hunt concept. After sending Willa, Charlene, and Maybeck off to search It's a Small World again, Philby and Finn head over to Splash Mountain and walk the entire track. Yep, they jump in the water and just start walking on the track. I mean, eventually they end up floating through some spots, but pretty much anywhere that the current isn't pulling them along, they've just got to muscle it. But if they don't take the water route, there are apparently alarms they will trip, despite being made mostly of light. Oh, wait, they haven't mastered those powers yet. Not to mention, there's still the question of why they even work in the rides. Are they programmed to do backstage tours or something? Do the DHIs get on rides with the guests and keep babbling trivia at them? And then the ride gets turned on. And this, my friends, is much scarier to me than the Small World incident. You see, the dolls, despite outnumbering them, they probably could have smashed up if they tried hard enough, but now they're about to have logs coming after them. And if they get out of the water, someone's going to think the actual children were in the park after closing and be very pissed off. And given that the rides malfunction when these kids are in them, these logs are probably not moving their usual speed. This is a lose-die situation, and I would be terrified, personally. Of course, regardless of the fact that the ride is now turned on, there was apparently a water current before then that was really too strong for the boys. So their biggest problem is that they don't have an exit strategy before the famous big fall.
That baby's 4 stories straight down, Philby said. 45 degrees.
I just wanted to take the time to point out that 45 degrees is not straight down. 90 degrees is straight down, like the Shikra. I know Florida parks, damn it. And this is when Finn finally remembers how Wayne basically told him the DHIs are made of wibbly-wobbly light. And so Finn thinks himself into an entirely light state, gets free of the current, and passes through and into a log flume, and saves Philby's ass. All of this happens at the peak of the ride, and not once are those stupid vultures mentioned. They only never shut up. So they find out the clue was at the end of the ride the whole time, and if they had somehow thought maybe they should check the end first before checking the larger chunk of the ride, which I can only assume they were planning to originally walk all the way back through since they had no other plans for getting down the big drop, but, you know, this is me overthinking it. Oh, and what's the clue? Why, random letters, of course. Those letters being F-M-E. Go ahead, write them down. I did. Oh, and the Small World letters. Y-I-R. No, really, write those down. When our heroes gather back up, we find out that Maybeck the jerk ditched the girls. The kids all go into a slight panic, thinking he's gone to use the button that wakes the kids up, and for whatever dumb reason, they think that the button could cross over into the non-magic world with him. This is beyond stupid, as the button did not cross over with them when they used it before, and it also has no analog on the outside, while the crossing over magic, technology, whatever, clearly depends on the kids having bodies in both places. But whatever. The important thing is that Maybeck has abandoned them. They see some overtakers waiting for them on their way back up to Walt's apartment, so they have to try to find another way into the castle. And it just so happens that, just by coincidence, Philby learned a secret entrance on VMK. Yeah, okay, I have my doubts that actual secret entrances were programmed into the virtual Magic Kingdom, but it works. They get chased, but they make it up to the button, which is still there, so they assume Maybach is still in the park. Now they have to go all the way back to the teepee because that was their second meeting place, and these kids can't seem to tell that Maybach has straight up been captured, and they'll need to mount a search and rescue later. This, of course, leads right to a confrontation with Maleficent, who is really damn smart. I have to say, kudos on writing her as an intelligent and truly scary villain. Sometimes these characters get watered down, but it's nice to be reminded of why they scared and intimidated us as kids. They managed to get away, leaving Maybach to be rescued another night, but Finn's busy being bothered that Maleficent knew his name when it makes complete sense that she would know their names. They are an attraction. Their names are known and probably easily accessible within the park, especially for someone who would be making sure she knew everything about the park. So, what happens to the kids if they get stuck in the park? Well, they just don't wake up, so pretty much they are officially in a coma when they are their DHIs. And then Finn and Amanda get chased on bike by a witch, and then Amanda does a spell, ousting herself as also a witch, perhaps explaining why she knows what the signs of a witch are. Look, this is going somewhere, but it's going there so slowly, and it's not nearly useful enough to the overarching plot. And then Finn passes out at dinner. The Overtakers are screwing with the computers that run the DHIs. Finn and Philby meet up in the park pre-closing, a dangerous situation, but Finn finally gets the idea to go knocking on Wayne's door. About time they involved their lazy mentor in things again. Although pretty much all Wayne does is suggest that the Overtakers are hiding Maybach and Space Mountain, which, you know, of course, is exactly where he is. Yet Wayne can't even be bothered to tell the boys if Space Mountain is a shadow zone or not. They stick out a bit in a dark ride when they glow. Finn finds Maybach tied up in a box inside the ride, and then, of course, reveals to Maybach that he could have gotten out himself the whole time. And then Finn reminds us how dumb he really is.
Giddy with accomplishment, Maybach started giggling. What a dumb jerk. I could have walked out of there all along. Not with your hands tied. That rope is from this side. The rope would have stopped you from getting through the wall.
Yeah, Finn, because holograms can pass through walls, but not rope. So Maybach confirms that Jez led him into a trap, and I still don't like him. And then something extraordinary and a tad disorienting happens. We get a short chapter from the point of view of the girls, with Finn not present at all. Until this point, the book has only followed Finn. It comes out of nowhere, and there's not really enough of the book left for it to become a thing, but maybe we're being set up for the rest of the series. After several weeks where the kids refuse to do anything, the girls have gone into the park during the day, legally, to search for clues on the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Of course, just as they find the letter S, everything goes horribly wrong. They get stuck in a room on the ride that gets flooded by malfunctioning sprinklers. They get out of it and run away from the scene, which, to me, potentially says, hey look, we might have done that, since they did have to pull a pipe out of the ceiling or something. Finn's mother finally confronts him about the fact that his clothes are always dirty in the morning when they weren't when she saw them last. He finally cracks and tells her the truth, leaving his mom to pretty much assume her child has gone nuts as we smash cut to Finn and Philby climbing around Big Thunder Railroad looking for the last clue while the others wait with Wayne. So they find the last clue. T-P-N. And that's when they get chased by a T-Rex skeleton. I'm not even going to elaborate on that one. Right. Now that we've got all the clues and we're very near to the end, a couple of things just for fun. This is a list of the rides broken down over the course of this book. Buzz Lightyear, Small World, Winnie the Pooh, and possibly Pirates of the Caribbean. Just putting that out there. But now, what you really want to know. Did I figure out the secret phrase before the kids did? Yes. Yes, I did. And I bet you did too if you wrote down those letters like I told you to. So off they go after the MacGuffin that they do not even know how to use anyway. Unfortunately, it involves actually stealing it, since Wayne is an asshat who refused to pull any strings that he might still have to get it. Or maybe he has none, but he lives above Main Street, so I've got the feeling he's important. Of course, the greater improbability is that particular item even existing in the parks, even in one man's dream. It's a very vague answer with no real clues to the actual whereabouts of the item itself. But they'll probably find it exactly where they think it is because, you know, the plot must go on. Honestly, though, this is the part where I get really mad at Wayne and the Imagineers involved in this backdealing side of the DHI project. Because they refuse to help these children they have sent off to fight a war for them. I mean, really, they get no support, but they're the ones risking their lives every night. Not only that, but in this case, if someone with authorization would at least get the kids the item they need, they could have the whole thing over with so much quicker. Which is theoretically what they want if they really believe the world is in danger, since they're clearly not profiting off of that fact. In fact, they're losing Disney money in buckets. I mean, not that it makes that much of a dent, but still, pretty much all of the dolls on Small World were damaged. So over at One Man's Dream, Amanda shows up to help out, because she kind of gets what's going on, because when she followed Jez into the park past closing, she saw Finn. But as he makes it out with the MacGuffin, Finn suddenly comes to believe that Amanda is the bad witch. Which is obviously wrong, but whatever. MacGuffin in tow, the kids decide to meet up during Mickey's not-so-scary Halloween party. Jez is there, of course, dressed as Cruella, and Finn seems to think she looks like a college girl. To which I ask Finn, have you ever seen a college girl? But then Charlene and Jez get into a major snark-off about whose costume is trying harder to attract attention. Charlene goes as Miss Congeniality, by the way. But oh boy, then Amanda shows up dressed as Catwoman, but Finn still thinks she's evil, so he snubs her and she huffs off. Then she comes back later to snark his ear off about how obviously Jezebel is evil because of the Bible, so obviously she's the witch. Damn it, Amanda, the name Jezebel is the least of the signs that Jez is evil. But then Amanda finally tries to tip her hand.
She leaned back and looked at him as if she didn't know him. What are you thinking? Are you serious? Me? Listen, there's something you need to hear. Something I have to tell you about her. I'm not supposed to... Do you understand that? This could get me in big trouble. Suddenly, Amanda shuddered. Her head jerked up towards the sky, her shoulders shrugged and stiffened, her eyes rolled in her head.
Clearly, however, she is stopped by magical seizure. But Finn finally figures out Jez is the bad witch, and sees her with Maleficent in the park, so he rallies the rest of the gang to go after them. But what I really want to know is why the heck is Pirates Maleficent's stronghold? No, really, it bothers me that she's not even in the proper section of the park. Like, maybe she thinks Walt's frozen head is down there? They follow the pair down under the attraction. Then the word labyrinth gets used, and I freak out for a full minute. And when I finally read on, Maleficent comes out to play. Finally. She traps the boys in and demands the MacGuffin. And surprisingly, actually shows some real power and threat for once. She tells Philby and Maybeck to book it with a memory loss spell that'll hit them when they get to the ground floor. And when they refuse, she actually harms Philby, knocking him out. However, this brings me to question her actions a lot. I know she wants to thin the herd instead of going 3-on-2, but if she's got that kind of power, why not knock them both out? Why not kill them where they stand so they never make trouble again? She may not yet have enough power to instantaneously kill them with nothing or turn into dragon form, but surely she's probably got enough to seriously injure them. I mean, 5 seconds later, she pulls out a fireball. Finn goes ahead and gets Philby and Mayback to leave, hoping they can protect themselves from the memory spell, but Honestly, they have no experience with that, so I'd be totally skeptical. And with Finn facing off with Maleficent, we get the news that Kingdom Hearts fans should find shockingly wrong. Maleficent is not even that high up in the Overseer organization. She admits to being an errand runner. Maleficent! I'm just so used to seeing her depicted near the top of the chain of command that I had trouble swallowing that she was only the level 1 boss. And this fight kind of does go on like a video game boss fight. During this time, Finn figures out that Maleficent can't touch the MacGuffin, as she wants him to give it to Jazz. And also that she'll stop attacking him if she thinks the MacGuffin might get destroyed, so therefore he can probably use it against her, and he does. However, because he's the hero, instead of holding this MacGuffin to her face until it burns off and she dies, he gets her to uncurse the girls and lower the fence spell, trapping him in, and makes a run for it. And then the following day, Wayne assists the DHIs in sneaking back into the Magic Kingdom as employees because they have to go back down there and figure out what Maleficent is up to. You know, that thing Finn probably could have done that night if he had just thought to pry the information out of her. Wayne also sends Amanda with them. Yup! The boys coax Maleficent out of the computer control rooms with talks of a trade. And she lamely claims that the only reason she didn't hurt Finn last night is because Jez likes him. Yeah, hun, nurse the wounds of being defeated by a 14-year-old boy. Philby gets to deliver Maleficent a jump scare from behind, and they grab a bunch of rolled-up plans from inside the room. Then Maleficent manages to get away again, because the computers she was punched into seem to have given her an energy boost. They make it out of the tunnels, but into a huge crowd in the park that mistakes Maybach for Aladdin, which they use as their cover, but Jez finds them anyway. And then Finn does something that convinces me these children were taken away and genetically modified at some point, because he turns into a DHI so that Jez can't touch him, and then he does some kind of freaky possession thing that somehow breaks the spell on Jezebel. Don't even ask me. I pride myself on trying to figure these things out, but I just don't even with this. Literally, witches and wizards did it. That's genuinely the only explanation. I can't even figure out how the magic is supposed to work in this series. And then we find out that Amanda has been hanging around this whole time because Jez is her sister Jess. That would have been good for everyone to know before, so they didn't suspect you of being evil or anything. Not that you were that much help anyway. And this is why I call you stupid side plot Amanda. This book would have hardly been changed at all without her, and we could have maybe seen more of Willa, the neglected DHI, in my opinion. But really, there was a lot of focus on Charlene and Amanda, but poor Willa's off in the corner attention-wise. Philby, Finn, and Maybach pretty much get all of the focus, but most of the time they break off into packs of the 2 girls and the 3 boys. Or if one of the boys goes with the girls, it's never Finn, so we never see it. The most attention Willa gets is in the one chapter that's about her and Charlene. And then everybody jumps into a trash chute. With barely a scuffle, they coax Maleficent into another chute that spits them outside the building where Wayne is waiting with some adults to capture her. About damn time, you crazy fucks! But don't worry, Wayne assures us they don't kill anyone at Disney, not even witches. Besides, they need to leave her in a jail cell and possibly experiment on her until either she talks or they can extrapolate things from what they learn about her. Finally, they have the old plans for the park, and they're all in Wayne's place as DHIs. They pour the special ink on the plans and get a fireworks show for their effort. Then the book ends with, "Push the button, Wayne!" This was a long one, guys. I'm sorry, but there was too much about this book to talk about. I poked a lot of fun at it, but I had so much fun reading this book. It really provided more than the cost of the book in entertainment for me. I cannot wait until I get around to reading the rest of the series. Buy these books, even if they're just on your e-reader device, because this author needs to stay in my life. And I think these books need to be in your life as well. Give them to your nieces and nephews or children if you have any, provided they like Disney. The suggested readership on the cover is ages 10 and up. I think the suggestion mostly refers to the violence and the slight suggestiveness of Jez's flirting with Finn. So really, this judgment call is up to you, as any kid who is an advanced enough reader for Animorphs is probably advanced enough for this series. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll see you next time on Let's Read with LabbyDragon.